You're listening to the Health and Wellness Show on Roundhouse Radio 98.3. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn McNabb. I'm in studio with Angel Luck. I just love that name. I always kind of stop and pause when I have to say her name. Angel Luck. How lucky are you to have that one?
Thank you.
She is a registered dietitian with the College of Dietitians of BC and a member of Dietitians of Canada and Sports Med BC. She's been working as a clinical dietitian within Vancouver Coastal Health since 2012 in a variety of settings. You are also the author of You Can't Outtrain a Bad Diet. It's the simplest guidebook in performance nutrition for every athlete. Since joining the Richmond Olympic Oval in 2014, Angel has worked with athletes at the community, provincial, and national level. And Angel, in your bio, I had read about how you were involved in a hands-on course called The Physician in the Kitchen, which you said didn't quite take off, but I love the concept. It's about you taking physicians into the kitchen and training them about nutrition. Let's start backwards with that.
Sure.
How did that work out and why didn't it work out?
It was phenomenal. I was working with a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Harry Karlinski.
Yeah.
He was really the one that fathered the project, if you will, because he felt that while he was training to be a doctor, there was very little emphasis on the nutrition component.
And doctors only get about 14 hours training throughout their entire schooling on nutrition.
Apparently,
Yeah.
which is surprising considering so many chronic diseases can be improved with nutrition. So you're sitting at a doctor's office hoping that they'll guide you in the right way if you've just been diagnosed with prediabetes or any one of the major health conditions these days. But unfortunately, they may not be the experts, and hopefully they do provide you with a referral to see a registered dietitian to get the most up-to-date scientifically based info.
There has been a barrier for years between the medical community and natural health. And I think that in the last year, you've seen a swing as far as doctors recommending a natural doctor or a nutritionist.
Right.
But in the past, I think there was sort of a barrier. It was almost like them versus us in a way. Do you see that changing?
Do you mean them versus us versus
Like the medical doctors versus the alternative health industry?
Oh, I see. I think in Vancouver, we're quite forward-thinking. So I think a lot of that tension might not be as strong here in the West Coast. But I think it boils down to individual practitioners meeting each other from both sides.
Sure.
And then just determining where is everybody's focal point or perspectives on certain issues. I think to generalize that there's still tension might be too simplistic.
Okay. I noticed that in a conversation I had with a doctor out of Los Angeles, we kind of live in our own bubble at times on the West Coast, and we, believe that everyone knows about, say, plant-based proteins, or, everyone is talking about integrative health. But you go to LA, and gut health, for example, is a very new topic in Los Angeles compared to here. Why do you think we're so leading edge, or we're open to making changes more here in Western Canada?
I think truthfully speaking, like the environment kind of pushes us to be that way. Like we live in the most beautiful part of Canada. I'm hugely biased.
Sure.
But being here in Vancouver, the weather allows us to be outdoors, to experience more physical activity, to get out there and meet people. And I think that in itself opens doors to people being just more open-minded. Because of those connections that are being made socially. I think that plays a huge role.
Some of the work that you do is to work with people in the community, at the community center that you're at. They're not just athletes, is that correct? You're working with regular people who just want to become healthy?
Absolutely. That's sort of my private consultant work with the Richmond Olympic Oval. A lot of people are everyday people, so to speak, that just want to be a bit healthier. But many of the specialized programs are with the athletes. And then my role with Vancouver Coastal Health, I work within the Richmond Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery Program. So there it's very specific. Sure. People who are considering bariatric surgery. I'm the person that, along with my colleague, would prepare them for the pre- and post-surgical guidelines.
Explain bariatric.
Oh, for sure, yes. So bariatric surgery is for people who fall under a certain set of guidelines, where their BMI is above 35. They may be struggling with weight control issues, and they've tried many other modalities of weight loss, but unfortunately they may not have worked for them. So at this point, they're considering physically changing the anatomy of their gastrointestinal tract through surgery, either through a sleeve gastrectomy or Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, in order to create a smaller stomach so that when they eat, it's easier for them.
So, and then your job is to come in and to work with them on what to eat and how to eat?
Absolutely. Before and after surgery for long-term success.
Okay. Now, being in the profession that you're in, talk a bit about plant-based proteins and what you see happening within that particular industry. It's not just a vegetarian thing anymore.
No, and I think plant-based diets are so good for so many people. I'm almost out there to say that it could benefit anybody. But I think the one thing that we need to be crystal clear about is that plant-based diets are not the same thing as being a vegan. Some people use the two terms interchangeably.
Sure.
Veganism is a lot more restrictive, whereas plant-based diets are a lot more, it allows for a lot more grace and a lot more gray areas, because plant-based diets can mean different things to different people.
Well, define that a bit then, from what you understand.
For sure. So to be a vegan means no animal products whatsoever. No eggs, no dairy, no meat, no fish, no chicken sometimes. Completely void of all animal products. Whereas a plant-based diet could be, for me, it could mean, oh, I'll have fish still a couple times a week. I'll have chicken sometimes. I'm simply reducing the amount of animal products that I have. Whereas someone else might take it to more of an extreme and say, you know what, 95% of the time, so six and a half days out of a week, I will have no animal products whatsoever. So very close to the veganism, but still consider plant-based so long as you still have some animal products sometimes.
How do you think plant-based dieting proteins can help people? Is that kind of eating curing illnesses? What are you seeing?
I'm definitely saying that it has the potential to improve people's blood sugar management if they have diabetes or pre-diabetes. It can help people lower their risk for or improve their current cardiovascular health. For people who are just struggling with a little bit of extra weight on themselves and a little bit worried about genetically they may be predisposed to heart attacks or strokes or things that run in their family, it could improve that. Lots of people, even in Vancouver, healthiest city in Canada, a lot of people walk around with a bit of extra weight, and it's not just a vanity issue. They have pain when they walk, when they stand too long. They want to go swimming or biking, and they can't. And following a plant-based diet that's virtually fat-free, when you choose all the plant-based proteins like split peas, legumes, beans, and cook them in a healthful manner, I mean, that can help you naturally lose weight without being on a diet. And it's so beautiful, actually, if people actually do it correctly.
You say beautiful in that food really can be a source of so many amazing things for us.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
I eat apples differently today than I did. Well, partly because I eat organic apples and they cost 5 times more than a regular apple does. But I think that when you're eating non-GMO or plant or organic foods, and yes, they are so much more expensive, but I think that in turn, there's less wastage, there's less spoilage. We just eat them differently. And I eat it in a way that I know that it's nourishing my body.
Right.
But not everyone thinks that way. And I think this is a whole new mindset that we're trying to get into.
And for me, I think organic is tough to swallow. I mean, to put it one way, because it comes at a higher price tag. That's the bottom line. And for me, my approach, everybody has their own opinion, but my approach is you don't necessarily have to go organic in order to benefit from just eating more wholesome foods. If you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, if you choose apples, albeit non-organic apples, it's still going to be a better choice than a crunchy bag of chips.
Sure.
We all know that.
Yeah.
You don't need me to say it. But I think it's just about making choices that put you one step closer to the goal that you've set for yourself. Be it that you lose 5 pounds this year, or be it that you just walk 5 additional steps today.
Sure.
You know?
Are we sicker than ever before as a whole? In general, are you seeing an increase in people being sick, autoimmune disease or diabetes, or are we a sick society?
I feel that we are. And I feel it's a very unfortunate state to be in, because I think it's really good people doing really good things. And what I mean by that is everyday people working full-time, driving long distances to and from work, making ends meet, caring for their kids, all the rest of it, doing things that don't make them people who are purposefully ignoring their own health. And I think that's important to remember, that people are getting sicker because they're trying to.
Sure.
They're busy doing everyday things, and they just need a little guidance.
We've never been busier ever before in history. I mean, my parents were hardworking, blue-collar people, but at the end of the day, they, finished their job, they came home and they could rest. I feel like we are constantly on the go, and we're not feeding ourselves in a way that can sustain longevity of the day. What do you see happening in your industry where people just have that breaking point where they know that they're not well and they've got to come and see somebody like you?
I find that a lot of them struggle with simply prioritizing eating 3 times a day. And it sounds so simple, like couldn't we just fit in 3 meals a day?
Yeah.
But truly no, people are getting sicker because they're so busy that they don't prioritize their own health. And as a result, that kind of lack of prioritization causes them to just go down a downward spiral over time. We're not talking overnight people develop prediabetes or struggle with obesity. It's a day-to-day effort that people aren't putting into themselves for sometimes other reasons that are actually quite altruistic, really. But I mean, it boils down to people sometimes with their smartphones having to set reminders on their phone that it's breakfast, it's lunch, it's dinner.
I'm one of those people. Like, I really am. Like,
it's a buzz.
I honestly was on my way here and it was 1:30 and I'm in the health and wellness industry. If my day is busy, I sometimes forget to eat as well. And then you're trying to catch up.
Right. And you never do.
No. You
never do. And people, you don't feel your metabolism lowering. And as a result of not feeling that instantaneous pain, it's different from tripping and falling and then needing the physio. Food and nutrition and our health and our bodies don't respond that way. So if over time we're skipping meals, we're skipping snacks, it just rolls into a lower metabolism. And when we finally catch up to eating better, our bodies tend to store more of that as energy. And then you can see how the fat mass to lean body mass ratio gets upset. And then that creates a situation where it becomes harder and harder for people to shave off the excess weight that they've slowly put on.
Sure. I find that one of the most important things that I'm doing in my diet is healthy fats in my diet, whether it be through avocados, healthy fats, or through the consumption of various oils. What are your thoughts along that line?
I think that it's great for people to pursue healthy oils. There's a lot of hype about a lot of different oils. And personally, I quite like the Liga flaxseed cooking oil that I've learned to use over the last few years because it boosts my intake of omega-3s when, as a busy mom of a almost 15-month-old, I don't always have time to prepare and cook fish twice a week,
Sure.
I'll say.
Now, let's talk about fish. I mean, one of my concerns about getting my omegas on a daily basis is that, and my children as well, is that, I mean, we go out for sushi quite a bit, and I'm afraid of them getting their omegas through certain fish nowadays because of the mercury content.
Right.
What are your thoughts on fish oils at this point?
Well, in terms of mercury content, HealthLink BC actually creates a list of mercury-containing fish that are safe to consume at, unlimited or moderate, low, levels to guide the public to know on a updated basis what would be the safest and best choices. So I wouldn't worry about salmon. Really, we're talking about king tuna and those kind of large predator
stuff that
fish.
I really like.
Yeah,
the tuna belly that I love.
Those are the ones that you might want to restrict, but still enjoy sometimes. But in terms of omega-3s, I think we don't always have to just depend on fish, especially for people trying to pursue a plant-based diet and they're trying to maybe go towards more all plant-based proteins than nuts like flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts. Those are all great choices.
And all those in, well, not chia, but nuts in an oil format as well.
Yes.
You could be consuming, so that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have so much information available. What is the best website for people to get a hold of you at, Angel?
They could find me on foodmysteries.com.
Well, that sounds good. Food mysteries.
Debunking myths, hopefully.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Angel, as always, I love talking with you. I learn something new every day. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angel.